Good morning and welcome to Coffee Ann, the longest-running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question of the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsockеtradio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee Ann panel.
All right, it is Coffee Ann on ON, AM, and FM. Thanks for joining us on Thursday morning. It's October 3rd in the year 2024. My name's Joe Callahan. At the Coffee Ann table, we'll say good morning to Bob Lauder. Good morning to you, Bob.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
Nice to have you with us. And Sue Tesher McKenzie from the Blackstone Valley Call and Times is with us. Good morning to you there, Sue.
Good morning.
And Dave's hanging around for some reason. I don't know why. Hi, Dave.
I'm putting ads in the paper for Autofest.
Oh, wow.
What do you think?
Well, that's important.
This is my job.
So
I've
been working.
She's saying,
so.
hey, you moron, you haven't given me your ad yet. And I said, well, I'm a little
that's
behind in my
right.
work.
It's like, hello.
While you're working on that, Dave, we'll go back to Sue and get our first message from the Blackstone Valley Call and Times.
Good morning, everybody. Well, we have a lot going on. Right now, we are working on breast cancer awareness for the month of October. A portion of our proceeds goes directly to the Making Strides Breast Cancer Walk. And it's something we've done for quite a few years now. It's become near and dear to the call's heart. So we are doing that. So if anybody's interested in participating, you can give me a call. It's 487-4136. In order to participate, you get 5 ads that run in both markets, call and time side. And it's just $150 to participate for 5 color ads in, as I said, both markets. Again, you can reach me at 487-4136. Any other situations that arise, we understand that the number 401-767-8503 has been having some difficulties. So if you've been trying that number and are having trouble, by all means, please call me. Again, 487-4136.
All right, Sue, you know what I just noticed? Is I'm looking at the front page of today's Blackstone Valley Call and Times, and way over on the right, underneath where it says since 1885, it's got the price of the paper.
Yeah.
All right, but it's what's next to that, and it just says newsstand. Okay. Are there any newsstands anywhere?
That simply means
Oh, I know what it
picking up.
means.
Right, no, but even picking up at Little General, for
Right,
example,
right.
or any store. And
there
the
another word
reason
they
it
can
says
use?
that
Okay.
is because delivery is less expensive.
I see.
You get a package deal when you
Yeah.
have home delivery.
Oh, okay. But I'm thinking the actual, and I don't know if it's still there. The last newsstand I knew of was in Pawtucket.
Yes,
Right,
and I don't
right
know
in-
if that's
right
still
on the
there
where
either.
the Rotary.
Yep.
They used to call it the Rotary.
I mean, it was one of
where
those
Apex
things
used to be.
people used to drive by and they would be able to get their paper without even getting out of the car.
That's right.
Yeah, it was pretty.
Is that? And you don't know if it's still there?
I
I'll have
think
to drive
the
by Pawtucket again.
space is
Yeah.
like the I can't even call it a building really.
Well, it was a little
It was
shack.
a small
Yeah,
shack.
yeah.
I think that's still there, but I don't know that
If
they
it's-
still do magazines and,
Right. That's
and things along those lines.
okay. Just
What
an
about the
observation.
newsies calling out extra, extra on the side? They
Wow,
don't do that either.
That's really going by the wayside there,
Okay.
Bob.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what they were called, newsies?
I think so, yeah.
Come in,
Bob,
and,
you're old.
I know.
give a quarter, get the paper. okay?
Although my wife was listening last week, and she really liked one of the responses that Sue made.
To what?
Well, that was when you were asking me how many members would be on a baseball team, and Sue chimed in and said, "I can answer for Bob." Huh?
I'll help you, Bob.
Thank you.
All right. One of the funniest things, speaking of newsies and like that, one of the funniest things that I've ever seen in a movie is with Steve Martin in the movie Roxanne.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever seen it.
I don't
You
think
ever
so.
seen
I don't think I did.
it? All right.
I don't
It's
know.
a modern rendition of Cyrano de Bergerac.
Okay.
Okay. So he's walking down the street and he puts a quarter into a news box to get the magazine. All right. And he pulls the magazine out and he starts reading the headlines. You can't see what he's reading, but he starts screaming because the news is so awful. So he walks back to the box, takes out another quarter, puts it in the machine, pulls the lever down, puts the newspaper back in.
No, I don't recall seeing that. That's funny.
It's at the beginning of the movie. It's pretty clever. He goes,
That's
I
funny.
can't take it anymore. I can't read this.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of people, and not just paper, they don't want to even turn on the news on TV.
Oh no, gosh, yeah. between the hurricane and the longshoreman strike,
Yep.
and the attacks on Israel and the politicians. It's like,
And it does
wow.
cause some sense of, especially for some
Internal?
people, but it does cause some sense of anxiety for
Mm-hmm.
people. So if somebody is more susceptible, I don't know how I don't have anxiety. Let's just put that right out there. I don't know. But there are certain things that do get me a little nervous.
Okay. All right.
The word anxiety is thrown around too much,
Yeah.
but it's real, and there are some people that just cannot watch it.
Well, I think that part of it is also the way it's presented. If you watch some of the television news, either Fox, which is very conservative, or MSNBC, which is very liberal, a lot of the time the announcers seem to be yelling and almost semi-hysterical about how they're presenting the news.
Really?
And that does not help in understanding and in
Right.
digesting it. I like to watch, the only news I do watch is NBC with Lester Holt at night because it's only a half hour long, and he is very matter of fact, and there's no screaming and no...
You like the Walter Cronkite approach.
yeah.
This is just what has happened.
This is what has happened. That's it. And it's not a lot of emotion thrown into it.
Right.
And I think that's a lot better for people than a constant barrage of...
It's tough to find, though.
Yeah, I just watch, Channel 10 and Channel 12 tells me enough what I need to know what's going on in the world as well as local. I
Yeah.
mean, right now they're doing a telethon on Channel 10 for,
Yeah, for the
North
hurricanes.
Carolina. And it's, they did it quickly, put it that way.
They did
threw
throw it together quick.
pretty quick, considering.
All right. So other things going on. Well, I'm looking at the front page of today's Blackstone Valley Column Times. There's a very extensive article on the front page. It goes on to page A3, done by John Baker, all about the press conference that was done at Harris Hall yesterday on how Woonsocket wants to tackle the homeless problem here in the city. And it's written exactly by what John says. It's all one. We're summing up it all in one word, Bob, and it's Houston. They've looked at what the city of Houston has done. They say they are doing it right. We've got to model ourselves after that city.
I saw the headline. I didn't have a chance to read the article, but when it said that Houston was right, it reminded me of Governor DeSantis sending the immigrants to Martha's Vineyard. Is our plan just to send all the homeless? It's
No,
not.
send
We're
it-
not
send them to
following the
Houston?
DeSantis.
No.
Okay, good.
We're looking at what did Houston do to curb the homelessness?
What did they do?
We should do the same thing. Well, you really need to see the article. It gets
Okay.
it gets a little intense, not intense, but it gets really into the minutia of what's got to be done. But on the offshot, off right off the top page, the city of Houston was able to slice its unsheltered homeless population by more than 60%. From 8,500 down to 3,200.
Wow.
In a short amount of time. Houston is the fourth largest city in the country. It moved more than 25,000 homeless people into apartments or homes in about a decade. So it's got it's not done overnight. We got to do this in a 10-year span. So yeah, they lowered the homeless population by 60%. Most of that reduction came in just 5 years. And for the city's homeless veterans, the wait for permanent housing dropped from 720 days down to 32.
I saw an article in the paper a few weeks ago how that I think the city of Providence had purchased the former Charles Gate nursing home,
Yes.
and was going to be doing trying to do the same thing down there. And there was an article also about South Kingston, I believe, in today's paper, having a school that hasn't been used for about 20 years because of the declining student enrollment. And they were considering doing something in a similar fashion with the school. I don't know if we have in Woonsocket buildings that are not being fully utilized right now that would be appropriate to try and convert into housing. Off the top of my head, I can't think of any. I'm sure there may be one or two.
There could be. The city of Woonsocket is looking around other cities as well that have had some luck reducing their homeless population. Newark, New Jersey, Dover, New Hampshire is another one. Another Chattanooga, Tennessee. So they're looking at all these different cities. What are these bigger cities doing to help lower their homeless population? And let's copy what they're doing if possible. So nice to see that something's been put together, at least an idea of how to work on it, and let's see what comes of it. One of these is doing what they call cottage neighborhoods. small, affordable homes for low and middle income people. There's one such village in Dover, New Hampshire. It includes 44 homes, though they only stand 384 square feet within a 140 square foot loft and a 12-foot ceiling. So it's
I've seen advertisements on the internet for very small portable houses that
yeah.
cost considerably less than a real house. Excuse me, a real house.
These
They would be
tiny
between
ones-
$15,000 to $25,000.
These are a little more. These entry level. Oh no, these are for salaries. Tiny homes are constructed on the town's service community, including teachers, first responders, caregivers. If they're making an entry level salary of $40,000 to $45,000, they can afford it. The homes are rented to occupants at an average of $1,100 a month. I thought I heard yesterday that average rents in Woonsocket is like $1,900. Do you have that? Do you know that number, Sue?
That sounds awfully high.
It does sound high.
I think that's awfully high, especially for Woonsocket. Mm-hmm. I would think it'd be more like in 15, 16 average.
Okay.
Of course, if you're,
But I don't own something to rent, so I don't know what people are charging.
Well, exactly. I know what I pay. The whole thing with, I think homelessness has more than one aspect. You have those that have their addictions and have their issues. And then you have those that are hardworking people that just can't make ends meet. And we had this conversation last year where people like myself, I can't get any help anywhere, because I work. I don't make a big salary, but because I work, my husband's now on disability. It's like you don't get anything. If you, for example, utilities, you say, okay, if I can get a little help there, maybe I can afford that. And that isn't a luxury. You know what I'm saying? It's just, Hamburg. I'm not saying I can't afford Hamburg, but I'm just trying to point out that this is what some people are dealing with. So if you can help here so that the monies can then go there, but that doesn't work. You're all or nothing,
Right.
is what I've been finding. And I don't think some of these people that are homeless just needed a little bit of help and could not get it. And that's sad because people aren't looking, well, when you are homeless, we'll help you. No.
Yeah.
You know.
It almost makes you, and not that you should do this, but it almost feels like, I should go out and maybe I should break my arm, and then I can go on disability.
Right.
And then, like you and your husband, we'll just get everything then.
I mean, somebody actually said to me, I forget where we were, and we have a handicap placard,
For your car,
which
okay.
which I might add, if my husband's not getting out of the car, I do not ever park in a handicap spot. He needs to be getting out of the car. I don't care if he's in the car. That doesn't mean I can park there. If he's not getting out, I will not park in handicap. Having said that, somebody, as I got out and I was getting the wheelchair out to bring him in,
say something to
didn't even think, no, this person didn't even think, and they were like, oh my God, you're lucky you got the handicap pass.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what it took to get this handicap
so
pass?
lucky.
They didn't think. I
Right,
didn't, it was just a matter of that individual had to walk a long ways to get to wherever they were. I'm like, you really think this is lucky?
Yeah.
And they were like embarrassed that they said it. But anyway, point being, there's a lot going on that people just need a little help and they can't get it.
It's funny when you talk about the parking. I'm the reverse, I think, of everybody else. Let's take the Walmart parking lot over here in North Smithfield. It's large.
Yeah.
I'm almost parking at Aldi's and then walking into Walmart. Because I hate when other cars park around me.
Oh, I hate that too.
And so I won't,
However,
and I know, but you see people driving back and forth, looking for the closest spot they can possibly get.
yeah, and that doesn't always work either.
And it doesn't. But I'm thinking, I parked way back here. I'm out of my car and I'm walking in the store. You're still looking for a spot.
Exactly.
Look how much time you're wasting.
I saw that the other day, and I was the same. Of course, for me, it depends on what I have on my feet. Like if I'm wearing my heels,
Okay,
you know what?
wonderful.
If my feet already hurt, but I need to go, I'm not going in.
Yeah.
I'm not going in. I will wait till I have my sneakers.
Where do you stand on that, Bob?
I'm just surprised that you've admitted you don't wear stilettos.
How do you know I don't?
Well, if you're parking far away from the door, you probably aren't.
Well,
yeah.
it's a personal choice. But do you park far away from the stores, or do you try to find the closest spot to the door?
I usually try and find the spot that looks like it's the easiest to get out of after I've...
I do that too. Okay, what's the easiest to get out of when I leave? Because I always like to pull in and
Yeah,
there's
that's
no
a
one in
thought.
front of me. I keep
Yes,
pulling forward.
yes.
So now you can pull forward instead of
Right.
backing out of the spot. That's always good. So, all right. Nothing worse though if you park and you get two open spots on either side of you. You go into the store, you come back out, and both of those spots are now taken.
Well, what bothers me more is there are lines. There are
Stay
lines. That is, you park between the lines. Not on the line.
No.
Not sideways. Not half of you on the line and the other half on the other line. It's straight in. There are lines.
Well, I actually saw this yesterday. Sorry, Walmart. It happened in your parking lot.
Many
So-
happen in the parking lot.
you got the horizontal stripe that separates the two vehicles. Okay, the SUV that's in the front, not on the who parked first, but the SUV in front is over the horizontal line.
Yep.
Basically taking up two spots. So the pickup truck decides to pull in behind him and park. Now the pickup truck is sticking out into the lane where people are driving by. And I'm looking at it, go, who decided this was a good idea?
Well, I'm going to have to blame the pickup truck because...
I am too, because yes, the SUV is in the wrong that they're over the line, but why did the pickup truck decide to park here?
Right.
Go
I
someplace
see
else.
that a lot. There was one at Lowe's
Yeah.
that was
They
in
do
two
this.
lanes. It's like... And I make a point, when somebody's parked really crooked, I make a point of parking incredibly straight. So that you walk out of that store and you're going to see, wow, this is what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah.
I wonder if they actually pick up on that.
You know, I've often wondered, but then again, probably not if they parked that way in the first place. So,
All right, we're going to take a break here on the Coffee and program, and more coming your way. So, Sue, it's time for a second message from the Blackstone Valley Call-in Times, please.
again, gee, I feel like I'm put on the spot, even though I know I'm here
spot.
every Thursday. I'm coming here next Thursday, so I can't really call it being put on the spot because I know I have to do this next week too. But we do have the results for the Community Choice Awards. I have been working tirelessly between emails, phone calls, and stopping into businesses to make them aware of their standing, whether they came in first, second, or third place. I will be continuing with that until I am done. However, if anybody has any questions as to where they may have fallen in that line, by all means, give me a call. You can call me on my cell, 487-4136. Again, anything you need from the office, whether it's back issues, extra copies of a paper for whatever reason, pictures in it of family or friends, you can call Christina. You can try 767-8503. If there is a problem with that number, call me again. 487-4136.
All right, Sue, thanks. And more of Coffee In is coming your way. Comments and questions can be called in at 766-1240. And Bob, we got a question or a comment from you from a caller that's going to, I'll read it when we come back, and then you can respond to it. And it's legalese, and it's
not a sports question?
It's not sports, and it's not criminal law. So it's up
okay.
up your alley. So
Well, you got to put them on the spot like you do me, so you have to wait till you get back to ask them, not on commercial break.
Oh, that's right. You got to be
Just
surprised.
saying, Bob.
Okay.
More
No
coming up.
forewarning.
No, none.
Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse offers authentic homemade Polish food to make your next meal special. Try our many varieties of hot and fresh pierogies with onions and what they call dirty sour cream. Or pick up golubki, kielbasa, babkas, or some fresh rye bread. We also offer a large selection of specialty and imported foods. Open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, 9 in the morning till 6 p.m., Wednesdays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturdays from 8 to 5 p.m. It's Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse. Follow us on Facebook and learn about our weekly specials. Located at 855 Social Street, Woonsocket, Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse has all the authentic Polish foods you love.
The Coffee and panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee Roasters. All their coffee is roasted right here in Rhode Island.
Down East Coffee Roasters is available at all Little General stores.
Have you heard of Scott McGee with Remax Properties? He's been selling real estate in Rhode Island and Massachusetts for the last 17 years, and you can see that he loves what he does. Scott, as well as his team, take pride in what they call the fair and honest team. No gimmicks. And no, they're not buying your house if it doesn't sell, etc. Just fair and honest real estate. Scott personally works with tons of sellers and buyers and specializes in residential properties as well as commercial, and he's always very fair and offers super competitive rates. Remember, this is probably the biggest move in dollars that you will ever spend or receive. You want to go with a trusted and experienced agent. Scott is fair, honest, and modest, always puts the clients first. And he also dealt with literally almost any situation. You really need to look at your real estate needs as a business. You want to pay and get the right money now so that you're not paying for it later. Trust me. So why not give Scott McGee a call at 401-639-2906. That's 401-639-2906.
All right, it's Coffee and on ONA and FM. Thanks for joining us this morning. My name's Joe Callahan here with Sue Tessier McKenzie from the Blackstone Valley Call and Times, and attorney Bob Lotters here. And Bob, we got a comment for you.
Question.
Yes,
A comment.
Well, it's more of a comment.
Okay.
And it just says to Bob, 766-1240, by the way, to Bob. Recently, I talked to a friend who's in the process of being evicted because the landlord favored someone else to replace him, despite his rent always being paid on time. Landlords get away with this all the time because tenants think owners can do this at their will. So they are intimidated and then they leave. And it does happen all the time. Is this legal? Can landlords just say, okay, Bob, I'm the landlord. Bob, you're out. I want to rent to Sue because I like Sue better than you.
If you're following the state law says that if you have a month-to-month tenancy, and most tenancies are month-to-month, if you're the landlord and you give proper legal notice to the tenant, and it has to be given at least 30 days before the end of a rental period, so that if I wanted to evict you from my apartment, and today's the 4th of October, if I was sending you a notice today, I would have to say that you have to leave on the 1st of December, because there's not 30 days between now and the end of October.
You couldn't say November 4th, though?
No, it's better to have the end of
next
end
month.
of a rental period.
Okay.
So you'd have to leave on December 1st. If you fail to leave on December 1st, then I can start litigation against you in the district court. I don't have to have a good reason for evicting you. You could be Pope Francis and not have done a thing wrong in the apartment and
matter.
paid
I
your
just
rent
want
on
you out.
time every month, but for whatever reason, I no longer want to rent to you, and I don't have to have a justification for it.
Okay.
So the caller is right in that
right.
regard.
That landlords have that right to do that to their tenants, even though they're good tenants.
Unless you have a written lease with the tenant that says, okay, I'm renting the apartment to you for a year from November 1st of this year through October 31st of next year, then you may have a lot more difficulty in terminating the tenancy. But I usually recommend to my clients who are landlords, don't have a written lease, because the written lease may bind you into a situation where you cannot evict a tenant unless you have good cause for it, and things may come along in your life where you want to evict a tenant, not because they've done anything wrong, but you suddenly want to rent the apartment to your daughter and her boyfriend or something like that, and so you're looking for to evict a lawfully paying good tenant. Yeah.
Okay.
That's like a scary law.
Well, it certainly benefits the landlord,
Absolutely.
and not the person renting.
Absolutely.
So, but okay. So your recommendation for landlords is go month to month with their.
My
with their
recommendation to the landlord is have an oral rental agreement rather than a written one.
tenant. Yeah. Okay.
And if I was a tenant, I'd be saying, I'd really like to have a written agreement.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
All right. I hope that answers the question. And so yeah, they're not doing. It's not nice. I guess you look at it that way.
Yeah,
Maybe it's not
that's
fair.
just-
I
right.
understand that, but it's legal, and
Yes.
it can be done. All right. So I don't know if you've been running into this at all out there, but I've already run into it because you go around and see different companies about advertising. I go see different companies about advertising. The panic has already started
What panic?
because of the longshoreman strike.
Okay, in advertising?
Yes, because what they've noticed already is people have stopped spending at their businesses. It's been a day, and they're already seeing a slowdown. in what they've sold. You know, like normally on a Wednesday, you know, we sell $1,000 worth of stuff in a
Right.
day, and it's down to like 700.
I would have thought it would be the reverse. I would have thought there'd been panic buying. That people saying, okay, I'm not going
Right,
to be able to
right,
get
right.
my.
That would be like at a Walmart or things like
Right.
that. But if you're talking like a restaurant, that kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
they're worried about they need to hoard their money in order to buy things that they think are going to become scarce.
All right. Okay, that makes sense.
We can't go buy the
I have not
we can't go,
experienced that.
we haven't gone get we can't go get the chocolate milkshake because we're saving the money because we might need it for paper towels.
Which
Not
is
yet?
stupid. That is completely stupid. I'm
It-
sorry.
well, it is,
but
but
this
that's the way
this
people
is
think.
why I say that because I haven't heard that first off, and I'm out on
Okay.
the road. I understand people getting nervous.
Mm-hmm.
I get that because again, like I said, I don't have anxiety, but you get that little bit of fear. So, did I go out and buy 18 rolls of paper towels? No, I didn't. I bought 2. So, like you just said, people are buying more. So I did buy more. An extra shampoo, an extra conditioner. Not stupidly. Because now you just, everybody,
Now you're being
now they
greedy.
panic strikes.
Well, yeah.
So if this is why I say it's stupid. So if I go to the store and I don't need to spend my money on those paper towels because they don't have it, then I have the money to go get the chocolate shake. So I don't get the rationale of what the thought. I have not experienced that with customers
All right.
because
well,
again,
maybe you will in the next,
I'm
next
sure.
couple
I'm
days.
sure because some types of businesses. The concern right now is people are toilet paper is not on those trucks
Right.
as a rule. They are
Or on those ships,
shipped.
yeah.
They're not in container, whatever you call them, container shipments.
ships, yeah.
They are either on trucks or on railroads. I heard that first thing this morning. I heard it last night. So for people to go out and buy panic over
Panic,
toilet
yeah.
paper, the things that come across, the country, different countries, that's what part of the problem is. Parts, for example, that may be coming in from Japan for a Toyota may be a problem. So there are certain things that will be a problem, but it's not everything. The problem, however, is small business. Big business knew this was coming.
Well, right.
Big business overbought and did, what
Stocking up.
they knew they should do. Small businesses, they don't have the ability, they don't have the capital to go and buy. Okay, well, just in case this goes on for X time. So that's where a big problem will be. But I don't believe people aren't spending just so they can make sure they can buy paper towels or I don't see it that way. I see it more of people wanting to buy the products now before they're out.
So I heard this yesterday. I don't know if it's completely true, but the dealings with the longshoremen that are striking, and they want a 71% raise. And then someone told me they were offered a 55% raise and turned it down.
Well, part of the deal is they're looking for is also to reduce automation.
Right.
And I would think that would be from the union point of view, that's probably their biggest issue with the management, because management would certainly be trying to have more automation,
Save
cut
that
down,
money.
right? And I can see the union saying, if you have more automation, we lose membership here, and that reduces our power. But it's
Well, I don't know.
71% raise,
Right.
Tough to turn down a
a 55%
raise. And I remember my days back in being in the big corporate world. Boy, if you got a 4% raise at the end of the year, you were lucky.
Right?
You-
Don't get me started
Thanks.
on raises.
All right, I won't get you started on raises. But
Some of us haven't had a raise in many, many years.
well, you're your own business owner.
I
You're-
know, I know.
So you pay yourself whatever you feel like paying yourself, Bob. That's completely up to you.
Oh, yeah, right.
No one tells you what to pay yourself. So
The clients tell me what to pay myself.
you should go back into criminal law. There's a lot of money there.
Right?
Could be true.
All right, so let's take a break here on the Coffee and program. More coming your way. And this time for the weather report being brought to you by Progressive Insurance.
Mostly sunny skies today with a high of 72 degrees and light and variable wind. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, overnight low of 52. Friday's weather, partly sunny, 73. Saturday, mostly sunny, high of 75. Tiny chance of a shower Saturday. Sunday, sunny skies and 69 with a breeze from the north. Monday, mostly cloudy skies, 69 and a good chance of rain. Tuesday, maybe a little leftover rain, but mostly sunny skies eventually, with a high of 62 degrees and a breeze from the northwest. And Wednesday, sunny and 61.
Outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio on the corner of Park Ave and Kennedy Street with sunny skies, we have 55 degrees. Your small business keeps you on the go. Progressive Commercial Insurance keeps your policy within reach with their easy-to-use mobile app. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com.
For an Allstate agent, providing protection options that fit your life is something they take, well, personally. Allstate agents are committed to learning about your needs and helping customize protection to meet them. From bundling your home and auto insurance with ease to evaluating optional coverage, your Allstate agent can help build an insurance proposal that fits your life. And just as important as learning what you need is learning what you don't. Because helping you get coverage you want with savings you deserve is what Allstate is all about. It's time to get coverage that's catered to you. Are you in good hands? Call Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. One agency, two locations in North Smithfield and Bellingham. One telephone number, 765-5000. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Allstate Property and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
When you visit the Menard Lockature Funeral Home's website, you'll find a wealth of important information, including frequently asked questions about the various options of pre-planning funeral etiquette, visitation, personal help to help the family, and many others. Remember, pre-planning is safe and helpful to family members who may be overwhelmed with details and responsibilities. It also assures that the deceased's final wishes are met. Their website will also feature several photos of their two beautiful and classic funeral homes at 127 Carrington Avenue, Woonsocket, and 71 Central Street, Manville. You'll be treated with courtesy and understanding. Their main phone number is 762-1825. Menard Lockature Funeral Homes.
Hey, it's ON Radio's Cruisin' Bruce Palmer, and I'd love to have you join me every Saturday for the Saturday Block Party. We start at 4 o'clock when I open up the ON Music Vault for you to pick whatever you want to hear or send to somebody special. Yes, the good old radio request days are back. Join me for the Saturday Block Party, Saturdays from 4 until 7 on ON Radio and streaming online at WoonsocketRadio.com.
All right, it's Coffee In on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. I'm Joe Callahan. Sue Tester-McKenzie is here. Bob Lauder is here. And Bob, time for a first message from your law office. By the way, you answered that law question perfectly.
Great.
There you go.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, I don't knows. We'll get back to you. We'll see.
Right?
Thanks. Good morning. This is Attorney Bob Lauder. I'd like to talk with you this morning about two recent Rhode Island Supreme Court cases. One of them a criminal case, and the second a civil case, which illustrates the consequences of failing to act upon a summons. The civil case is that of McCormick versus Narragansett Improvement Incorporated, and was decided in May of this year. The case began way back in 2010, when the plaintiff was injured in a motorcycle accident where her vehicle hit an unguarded manhole cover in a road in Cranston. The plaintiff filed a lawsuit against the defendant, alleging that it was negligent in making repairs to the roadway and failed to provide a protection barrier around the site. The court issued a summons to the defendant. It was served by a constable, and the defendant failed to file any response in the court. A default judgment was entered in 2011, and in 2022, 11 years after the entry of the default judgment, the defendant filed a motion to vacate that judgment. The defendant claimed that it had not even begun work on the roadway when the plaintiff was injured. The court approved the motion, rescinded the default judgment, and after a trial on the merits, the court found in favor of the defendant, that it was not liable for the injuries of the plaintiff. The plaintiff filed an appeal with the Supreme Court, arguing that the trial justice was incorrect in granting the motion to vacate, and argued that the default judgment should remain in full force and effect. the state Supreme Court agreed with the plaintiff and found that in the absence of any evidence explaining the failure of the defendant to respond to the summons, the plaintiff would win the case, and the only issue remaining was to determine the amount of money which the plaintiff was entitled to receive from the defendant. The moral of the case, if the defendant had not failed to respond to the summons, the defendant most likely would not have had to pay any money to the plaintiff, because on the merits of the claim, the defendant might have won the case. But the defendant failed to answer the summons, and as a result incurred significant damages. If you think my office may be of assistance to you in legal matters, please call me for an appointment. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is 762-4550. And the disclaimer: the Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license or certify any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice. Thank you.
That just makes no sense, Bob, because you've been in an accident. So if you're getting legal stuff in the mail, you should be responding to it. It's not like the scams that are out there that say, oh, geez, you haven't reported it for jury duty, when you know you haven't got a jury duty notice. But
a summons is served by a constable or a sheriff, and it's in paper form, and it's handed
so someone's handing this to you.
Right.
Here,
it's handed. In this case, it would have been. A corporation usually has to file with the Secretary of State an identity of who they are going to have as the recipient of any legal proceedings. Frequently, it's the lawyer who established the corporation, or it could be the president or a member of the board of the corporation, but it identifies somebody. So if I was suing ABC Company, I'd go to the Secretary of State, I'd look up who is their agent for service of process. The sheriff would go out, knock on that guy's door, hand him the papers, or her the papers, and then it's up to the person receiving the papers to file the appropriate response with the court.
Right.
That didn't happen.
Okay. We have a note that was called in, 766-1240. Back to the original note that was called in a little earlier about the person being evicted.
Yes.
Even though they were, paying on time. It just says, tenants and landlords, the whole thing is totally unfair to the tenants.
Absolutely.
Well, yes, it is. It puts said tenant at the landlord's mercy. Yes, it does. But you got to chalk this one up to life is not fair.
Well, you also could suggest that the individual could talk with their state representatives and see if a bill could be introduced into the legislature, which would end up changing the law.
Okay. Well, that'll take place years from now. It doesn't help in the short term, but
in the short term, no.
No. All right. So, all right. Let's. I don't know if you're going to know the answer to this one. You probably won't, Bob, because it's a real criminal thing. But we had the story this morning about the Pawtucket police arrested 2 people in Pawtucket on drug charges, and they rescued 11 dogs from their home. The dogs were living, probably the people were living too, in deplorable conditions. So they're charged with drug charges, but they're also charged with unnecessary cruelty to animals. What is the difference between unnecessary cruelty to animals and just plain cruelty to animals? I've never heard this term, unnecessary cruelty to animals.
Neither have I.
Okay.
We had a case many years ago where a couple who was probably on the verge of dementia had a huge number of cats in their house, and the cats were taken away and euthanized. The SPCA was involved in that, and the local police from that community. The people weren't charged because their mental condition was such that the prosecutors didn't think they really knew what they were doing with the animals. But that was cruelty to animals. That wasn't unnecessary.
Yeah,
I don't know what that means.
I just looked it up, and
Great,
but
this is like having a legal expert sitting next to me.
but it
Vague?
no, it's pretty explicit. But I think most people think of that as falling under the cruelty to animals.
Yeah.
Neglect, not providing an animal with adequate food, water, shelter. So maybe that's where an unnecessary comes in. Physical abuse, intentionally
All right,
causing
so physical
an
abuse
animal
is still
pain.
there. Okay.
What is necessary cruelty?
Yeah, really. It's an oxymoron.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't. It doesn't make sense to me. So
If it just stopped at you're not providing shelter, you're not providing food and water, okay, that's unnecessary cruelty. But they still threw in, okay, you're having you're physically beating the dog, or let's say,
Because it's
so it
animal
all falls under
cruelty.
animal cruelty. Yeah,
And there's unnecessary animal cruelty.
Yeah.
That's what this is.
that's what they were
That's
charged
what we're
with.
questioning here.
Yeah.
So this time I just put it in as versus.
Okay.
Animal cruelty is the intentional or harmful treatment of animals, including physical abuse, neglect, or killing.
Unnecessary.
Unnecessary animal cruelty is when an animal is subjected to unnecessary suffering or pain.
Almost sounds the same.
Yeah, it does.
It 100% does.
Okay. All right. Well, I didn't know if there was a significant difference between
Well,
the
maybe
two,
the charges are significantly different, and that's why they went with unnecessary.
but okay. Yeah.
I don't know, just a guess.
It is. All right. So other things going on, and did you hear about the guy down in Narragansett that was arrested, and he's being charged with killing his mother?
I
Oh,
caught
the
tail end of
strangulation.
that.
The
Strangulation.
Yes.
Yeah. And got into an argument, allegedly strangles her, and then he calls 911 and says, "This is what I've done.
Ugh.
Come and get me." And he just waited at the house. And then they came and got him. And
Remorse
so,
after.
but in those kind of cases, Bob, when he is arraigned, still a not guilty plea is going to be entered, correct?
Of course. You if you're at arraignment, you always should have a not guilty plea.
Even
because
though you've
that
admitted to it already, though.
that gives you an opportunity to have your legal counsel discuss with the prosecution the elements of the case, also to discuss what might be an appropriate conviction penalty if you were to go to trial. Try and work out some type of arrangement which your lawyer will counsel you may be the best way to try and resolve the matter and reduce the amount of penalty. You should not, at an arraignment, plead guilty and say, "Yeah, I did the whole thing." And in a case like his, he's being arraigned because it's a felony charge. You get arrested, you're taken to the district court for an initial arraignment. The district court judge is not allowed to take a guilty plea in a felony case. The case is going to be remanded over to the Superior Court, and you'll go to another arraignment, and in the Superior Court, then if you want to plead guilty, you can do so, even though I'd strongly suggest you probably continue to plead not guilty and see what can be worked out in a plea deal.
Okay, then how about the guy that was on the bike path over there in Cumberland,
Right.
not wearing anything, jumping out and scaring the women?
Right.
At his arraignment, a plea was entered of no contest.
Okay.
What's the difference?
No contest is I'm not going to contest the fact that the prosecution has enough evidence against me to probably convict me. I'm not admitting that I did it, but I'm not going to contest the fact that they have the evidence. And you again try to work out a deal on that. And you probably have talked with the prosecution in advance of that to come to an agreement that's going to be recommended to the judge. Now the judge doesn't have to take it. The prosecution can say, okay, we believe that the penalty for this particular offense should be X, Y, and Z, and the defense says, yes, we agree to that, and the judge can say, I don't think that's appropriate. I think it should be a harsher penalty or a lesser penalty. But no, no contest is like an Alfred plea. I don't admit that I did it,
Yeah.
but you have enough evidence against me that would convict me if I went to trial.
You learning a lot there, Sue?
Yeah, I am.
All right, how about this now, Bob? Down in West Warwick, they're trying to follow the like what Fall River did, and they're trying to make homeless encampments illegal in their city, but they want to bar homeless encampments and sleeping in public. Now, back in my retail days, I worked with a woman, and what she did for lunch, she went out to her car, set an alarm in her car, and slept in her car for half an hour. Under this rule, would that be illegal to do? Because now you're sleeping in public, but you're inside a vehicle.
I don't know how well they've crafted the law about sleeping in public, but to use a different analogy, apparently some of the towns and the communities close to colleges have been trying to put in laws that say you cannot have a certain number of unrelated people living in a particular structure. I think that was down in Narragansett, or the southern part of the state, and I believe the Supreme Court has said, or not the Supreme Court, maybe Superior Court has said, that was too vague. what do you mean by unrelated people? And so that's been thrown out. They're going to have to craft it more carefully to identify who they mean when they say not more than 4 individuals can live in an apartment. So I would expect that this is going to have the same kind of challenge.
Okay. When they say sleeping in public, it's just, not that I know of any, but if West Warwick had a campground,
I was just going to
people
say,
pitch a tent, you're sleeping in public.
if you're in a park and you bring out your beach chair and it's a nice spring or fall day and
you
you
fall
choose to
asleep.
sit there, you're reading a book, put your head back, you fall asleep.
Yeah.
What?
Are you now going to get a ticket?
Right?
I don't know. Yeah. So lots of questions still.
Being woken up by a police officer, being handed a ticket.
I don't think that arresting people for being homeless, even though if you under a different guise, is the correct way of responding to this kind of social crisis. I think
Neither
that whatever
do I.
the city of Woonsocket is doing in trying to craft a reasonable response to it is a lot better than a
this.
draconian, we're going to arrest everybody and drive them out of town.
All right, we're going to take a break here on the Coffee and Program, and more coming your way. Stick around.
It's going to be a busy few days at Chan's, the CD release party with Barnyard Smile, debuting a strong in blues chart nationally and internationally for Damon Fowler tonight at 7 o'clock at Chan's. $25 in advance, $30 at the door. He's a masterful singer, guitar player, and songwriter. Not to be missed CD release party tonight at Chan's. Then tomorrow, Friday, October 4th at 8 p.m., the Cold Stairs Band. Check out this dynamic blues band trio from Evansville, Indiana, that's been winning new fans and keeping them on the edge of their seats at every live performance. And a live performance tomorrow night at Chan's, featuring guitarist, singer Chris Trapp and drummer Brian Mullins with bassist Bryce Clue. All right, then on Saturday night, we continue, 8 o'clock. Willie J. Laws Band, one of the most notable blues bands with a modern funky style that's uniquely its own. Hop on board the musical train and enjoy the ride with Motown soul and Memphis grease, Muscle Shoals and Gulf Coast of Texas blues, and New Orleans R&B funk. That's the Willie J. Laws Band, Saturday night, 20 in advance, 25 at the door at Chan's. And oh, by the way, they got great food there, too. Chan's, 267 Main Street, Woonsocket.
Celebrate St. James CYO and Youth Ministry in Manville, Rhode Island. In honor of the parish's 150th anniversary, a CYO and Youth Ministry open house reunion will be held on Sunday, October 27th, from 1 to 4 p.m. in the parish gym. Reconnect with friends and relive your favorite memories from sports, dances, plays, singing in the choir, and more. For more information, visit stjamesmanville.org. That's SAINT, jamesmanville.org. Don't miss out. Spread the word and celebrate with us.
It's Coffee In on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callan here with Sue Tessier McKenzie and Bob Lauder. And I forgot to give Bob Lauder his second message. I'm sorry, Bob.
Okay.
Let's get a second message from your law office, please.
Thank you very much. This is Attorney Bob Lauder. The criminal case I'd like to discuss here this morning is known as State versus Liverpool and was also decided in May of this year. In the Liverpool case, the defendant, who was on probation for a prior offense, was alleged to have engaged in indecent exposure to a female walking along a public sidewalk. The alleged act, if proven, would constitute a violation of his probation, and a hearing was held to determine if he had, in fact, violated his probation. There were security cameras in the area, and the prosecution introduced copies of video recordings of the cameras, which the prosecution alleged depicted the defendant in the alleged act of illegal conduct. After being found guilty of the charges, which resulted in the revocation of the prior probation, the defendant appealed to the Supreme Court that the introduction of the video recordings violated his Sixth Amendment right to confront witnesses to the alleged crime. In upholding the decision of the trial justice to permit the introduction of the video recordings, the Supreme Court wrote that while the court has ruled that trial court may not admit prior, testimonial, out-of-court statements of unavailable witnesses without providing the defendant an opportunity to cross-examine the source of the statement, the Rhode Island Rules of Evidence state that this does not apply in probation violation hearings. If you'd like to discuss legal matters with me, please contact my office for an appointment. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is 762-4550. And the famous disclaimer: the Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license or certify any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice. Thank you.
All right, Bob. Thanks. Well, this is where we are now in the United States. This is what things have come to. Betting on the 2024 election will be allowed. I'll take Donald Trump in 20 points.
So hold on. You just
Minus 20 points. What?
Oh, well, I was just going to say, where's the 20 points come in? I just get totally confused.
Sports
I mean, I know
betting.
football.
Yeah.
I was just going to say,
Well,
I
you
know
can't
what
have
it
any-
means
you
then,
can't
but
have any
can't
points
do it.
here.
Yeah, okay.
It was a joke. So.
That's why you confused
okay.
me.
This is
So,
a
yeah.
terrible temptation, man. You know, I might take you up on the offer, but it can't be a whole lot of cash involved.
Well, a federal appeals court.
I don't want to bankrupt you.
Right. A federal appeals court made the ruling, going against the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. The government agency argued that allowing betting could undermine election integrity. It asked the court to block the prediction exchange platform Kalshi from offering bets on which party will control each House of Congress. The site advertises itself as a, quote, a regulated exchange and prediction market where you can trade on the outcome of real-world events. So instead of betting on sports, you know, you could probably, and this is going to sound crass, but you can bet on how many bombs is Iran going to drop on Israel, kind of thing.
Well, I thought the sports prohibition was to prevent the opportunity for there being bribes and throwing games and things like that.
That was originally, yes.
So I can understand that. With regard to betting on political outcomes, I would think the likelihood of your being able to influence that through bribes is pretty low. And I think in other countries like the UK, they are allowed to bet on political events. So I see nothing wrong with betting on the outcome of this current election. I'll have to discuss with you in private the amount of money you want to put up on this.
Sue, should we bet on elections?
I think it's just another stupid thing. A couple stupid things this morning on the radio. Just saying. Bob, you are not one of them.
Oh,
The way
good.
you
Thank you.
just
Thank
looked
you.
at me.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
No.
Because, you know, my wife is on your side no matter what.
Right, and see, I wasn't meant to you. It's just some of the, and it's not some of the topics that Joe is putting out there. It's some of the topics that are out there.
They're just out there.
It's not you,
Yeah,
Joe.
yeah.
So it's I don't know.
All right. Well, some people, you know, some people will bet on anything.
Mm-hmm.
What show did I just see?
Remember Trading Places where the two brothers were
I
betting?
That's right.
love that show.
Okay,
That is
I will
very
go
moving.
with that.
We're gonna bet
$1.
$1?
$1.
All right,
That my side wins.
We may go with that. It was a Seinfeld episode I just saw, a repeat, obviously. But Kramer was at LaGuardia Airport in a high-end lounge with the first-class flyers for whatever reason, and they were betting on. They were looking at the arrivals and the departures. And they were betting on which planes were going to land first. You know, we got, and it was like Ithaca, New York, or Baltimore. And then they were like watching horse racing. Come on, Baltimore.
That
So
sounds
people will bet on anything.
that sounds like fun.
Of
one.
which
Fun one, though.
which plane will land first. So, all right, Sue. I don't know if this is going to help or not, but scientists are announcing they've mapped the entire brain of a fruit fly. And we're going to start small. The milestone in neurobiological research could provide insights into brains across the entire animal kingdom. The research published in the journal Nature shows more than 50 million connections between nearly 140,000 neurons, or nerve cells, inside the insect. Scientists believe the mapping will help them understand better how brains are wired and the indicators of healthy brain functions. By the way, the brain of a fruit fly is less than 0.04 of an inch wide.
That is amazing.
That they could even do this?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of microscopes.
It's amazing they can do that, and now we're going to go back to my original. That's just stupid.
Well, you got to start with
Because
something,
they,
Sue.
yeah, but no, there is research being done on the human brain.
Yeah.
There is brain mapping on the human brain.
All right.
I mean, this show could last forever with this, but it is so. I don't find in the situation that I'm in the fact that they mapped a fruit fly's brain
Doesn't really affect
beneficial to me in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
Period.
I would imagine that there must have been some kind of reason why they did this.
Well, unfortunately,
wouldn't
much
just
of
be
what
for-
they do is done on animals. You know,
Yeah.
like they test mice a lot with different drugs, different treatments, things that, you know, like this medication, you know, we have these 2 mice, and we're going to try this medication because they're sluggish.
Right.
They're just, you know, whatever, they're sick. So they give one this medication and not the other, and then they see where the benefits are. So I understand the treatments and testing on animals. Whether or not I agree with it is neither here nor there, but I understand it. I'm just not understanding the fruit fly aspect when you were talking about using pig parts in brain dead people.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago.
You know, well, no, this was a while ago.
Was it? Okay.
But so they're already doing scientific research at next level. That's why I say, where's the fruit fly coming into play?
I would
I
imagine
don't
that
understand it.
whoever was doing the study probably had to have some type of funding for it. Must have convinced
And that's the problem.
must have convinced some donor to make the funding for it. There must be a realistic correlation between this kind of research and benefits to humans. It's just
Well, they
not
probably think
not
so.
explained to us.
We're just going to start with this and see, and then move up. And no one complains when you do scientific research on fruit flies. No,
Yeah, but no one-
no one's picketing.
People don't complain because, right,
'Cause
you
of the
are
fly.
absolutely right. They are annoying, and
Yeah.
they're probably researching the damn fruit fly because they're all they're like this.
Well,
they're
probably,
like the,
and they're probably dead already.
they're all over the
so,
place.
Yeah. So.
But no, seriously, I find that there is significant research being done on the brain.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, funding is being decreased in many aspects of many things, and the research on the brain is one of them. But it's education needs to be, more on the forefront of brains, whether it's animal where you're learning or human.
I would think we just don't have the explanation from the scientists as to why
No.
the correlation is that
I only got
why
a
this is
small
beneficial to us.
5-sentence paragraph on the whole thing, and it doesn't go into much more detail. Tuesday's vice presidential debate drew 43 million viewers.
Good.
Pretty good amount. They said the highest group, and I don't know how they got this information, but the age group with the largest viewership were us. Everyone over 55.
Okay.
So the ones tuned in to watch this. They say it accounted for 29 million views. I have no idea how they figured this out.
I was very pleased to see the debate because, first of all, the collegiality between the two candidates
was
seemed
nice.
to
It
be
was good.
really good. There wasn't a whole lot of yelling and screaming. It reminded me a lot of seeing debates in college. I used to be on the debating team in college, and that was how you did a debate. You brought out your issues. You talked about the importance of your issues. You talked about the strengths of yours and the weakness of the other side, but you didn't
You didn't say,
engage
"Boy,
in a
that's
lot
a-
of the craziness that we've seen in the presidential
he
ones.
can't be right. Look at the tie he's wearing.
Yeah, I mean, this was a good classical kind of debate.
All right. A CBS poll. They always poll people afterwards. 42% of residents, of the respondents, I should say, thought that Vance won the debate. 41%, and this is close. 41% thought Walz won, and 17% said nope, it was a tie.
I think
So that's a close
if
one.
you're going on the style of presentation then there is a way of saying that one of them won and one of them didn't. If you're going on the substance of the arguments, then I think that you're looking back to what you perceive to be the important parts of the election. And I know which way I'm going to be voting in November, and you probably figured that out as well. And yeah, you grin. And the debate did not change my mind on any of the substantive issues, but it did give me more respect for both of the candidates in the way that they handled it and how they came across. I thought they were both very, very professional, and I was glad to see the level of respect that they seemed to have for each other.
I thought so too, and I also thought that J.D. Vance is he's 40, right?
Yeah,
he's 40 years old. I said, "Ooh, this guy's going to run for president."
I think you are right.
Either in 4 years or 8 years, like that. I said, "This guy's sticking around." So, okay. Did you have something? Sue?
Yes, because I went back and there is much more to the article than the five sentences you were sent. So the fruit flies share 60% of human DNA.
Wow.
And 3 or 4 human genetic diseases have a parallel in fruit flies. They should have put that in those 5 sentences.
Yes.
So people like myself would better... Exactly. Because otherwise...
How does this help the human race?
Right. Even though it's only 60%, they've done other studies on different...
Yeah.
Fly, different... I mean, not a fly, a worm, and different... with much fewer neurons.
Okay. Well, we've run out of time, folks. The end of the show has come. So we thank you for listening in, as always. And Bob Lauder, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you for inviting me. Hope to be with you next week.
Very good. And Sue, thanks for coming in today as well.
Thanks for having me, and have a good rest of the week.
All right. I'm Joe Callahan. Have a great day, everyone. Enjoy the sunshine. Gary Smith and the crew with Do You Remember is coming your way at 9:30 here on ON AM and FM.
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street. This is WOON Woonsocket Radio. And now, the news. U.S. Senator from Massachusetts Elizabeth Warren says she's concerned about the United States getting possibly pulled into a larger military conflict in the Middle East. The American military helped Israel deflect yesterday's Iranian missile attack. Warren told MassLive.com website when they asked that Israel has a right to defend itself, but that it doesn't have the right to get the United States into their war. Too late. She has repeatedly previously made calls for de-escalation as the first anniversary of